Vajiraman Ravi has been still there even during my mains preparation, during both my attempts 2023-24. I started my preparation in 2018 here as a foundation batch student, and finally I'm again back here 6 years later. The life has come full circle finally. I post-graduated actually in year 2018. After that I came to Vajiraman Ravi, as the name has always been there, where I was completely clueless कि क्या करना है क्या नहीं. And that year I think, but I think ये join किया test series मैंने, and we had those regular feedback sessions.
GS
we had GS. I was enrolled for the GS thing. I had that regular feedback session after every copy that was checked. We had those mentoring sessions going on. So उससे पता चलता था what is wrong, where I should add on, what is the changes I need to make, etc. So it went like that, and I really scored good in GS. Last year also it was 435 marks in GS 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hi, this is Dr. Rangamanju. I have secured an All India rank of 24 in the recently concluded CSC 2024. My optional subject was anthropology, and I have a background in medical sciences. I graduated from Bangalore Medical College in the year 2019. This was my third mains and my sixth attempt, and in my third and final attempt I increased my anthropology score in paper 1 from 125 to 151, which is one of the highest scores in this year, and I would like to discuss what may have worked in my favor in this year's examination. So one of the questions I'm usually asked is, what was the biggest turning point in my preparation? Given that the odds were larger in this year's examination for me, I decided to play it to my strengths. So if we were to divide anthropology into sociocultural and physical or biological, I found that given my medical background, I had a greater understanding of physical anthropology or biological anthropology included with archaeology, and therefore I should attempt more questions from this physical anthropology part. In fact, the way I picked my questions this year was so much so that I ensured that there was at least one physical anthropology question in every optional question that I opted for. Now the reason I say this is because it has to go down to the candidate and what his background is in order to determine what works best for him. If I may take a few examples, there was a certain Wasim Ahmed Butt sir in the previous year. He is All India rank 7. He would say that the socio-cultural part yielded more marks, and some of the notes of Narayan Amit sir that I followed, he said that physical anthropology is more likely to fetch more marks. So this decision has to be made by the candidate himself. But in my understanding, I found that when physical anthropology was covered well, it generally fetches marks. So in this year, I in fact left an entire 10 marker in the section A compulsory section, and I still secured 151, which possibly means that my answers fetched a higher score and they had an abundance of physical anthropology in them. This meant that if there is a question on genetics, if there is a question on archaeology, primates, etc., I would almost compulsorily attempt them. But having said this, I think there's another oft asked question, which is how important are diagrams, schematics and so on important for answer writing and presentation in the final examination. Now because we are expected to fill a lot of pages, the highest number being in the optional paper of course, we would make it easier for us to finish our papers in time if we have a good number of schematics or diagrams in them. And in physical anthropology, the scope for including diagrams was, in my opinion, a lot higher, and this I used to the maximum benefit. Whenever there was a question on archaeology, I would put in as many diagrams as I can on the tools or on the culture per se, and this I think may have worked significantly in my favor. Another thing that I did, I think, which may have helped the examiner see that I had a focus in anthropology as a genuine student of anthropology, was to integrate current affairs into my answer writing. I can recall this very vividly, at least in one question. The question was something about forensic anthropology in 2024 anthropology paper 1, and I included a certain finding from current affairs. Now if you are all aware that Bangalore had to face a certain domestic terrorist incident, a certain restaurant by the name Rameshwaram was attacked, and it was eventually found and detected by police that the individual in question was traced to a certain part of the country. They did so by using gait analysis, and I included this in my answer as well. And similarly, there were other parts in the question paper where I've incorporated current affairs to show that I understand the demand of the question a little better. And having said this, one of these things that aspirants usually fear, and even I feared it till I got a higher score in the first paper, was that we need to be exemplary or we need to give perfect answers to get a sufficiently high score. And now I would like to banish that demon and say without an ounce of doubt that we do not need perfect answers throughout. Even some above average answers mixed with average answers in the rest will get you a high score. Now the reason I say this is there was a question on the theory of Levi-Strauss, the application of binary opposition in the context of the Astivals and construction of myth-themes and myths. For this question, I did not know what the Astival myth concept was, but I still attempted the question because I had to club it with a physical anthropology question, and I did so by incorporating as many knowledge based facts that I had regarding the myths and the myth-themes, and gave as much of a conclusive answer as I could. Now I can assure you that I did not give a perfect answer, but given the score of 151, I should have gotten a fairly okay score. So this is again to tell the candidates out there who are still attempting this exam that you do not need perfect answers. And as in an extension of that, I would say that if you were to limit your sources, I think it would be easier for us to revise it in the 5-day spell after GS4 and between the final papers. It would make it easier for us to cover as many of those rote learning, memory intensive facts as possible. On the count of what our sources are in order to get a high score for anthropology, I would possibly suggest something that has been often repeated by toppers in the past, but not many would do, which is to incorporate the learnings of Ember and Ember into your notes. Now, the notes can be your own from the classes that you attend or toppers notes. In my case, it was essentially just an entire exercise of toppers notes that I used in order to inform my learning. And even within the toppers notes, I have not just used one topper for a certain section. For instance, I have not just used Mandar Patki sir for sociocultural anthropology. What I have done is I have used Mandar Patki sir for some chapters such as 3, 4 and 5 and perhaps even 6, and then when it came to 7 with linguistics, I have used Narayana Amit sir's notes, and later on for the theories etc. I have used different toppers notes, and I have also used anthropology simplified by Dr. Vivek Basme in my understanding. So all in all, for different syllabus points, I have gone through what I think are the best source material available, and I have integrated them into my own and made sense of them and designated that those will be my specific notes. By this, I just want to tell candidates out there that you don't need to rely on perfect notes. We will never get them. There will always be questions asked in the final examination which will defy our expectations. But as long as they cover the syllabus, the length and breadth, and we are able to answer PYQs based on the text in these notes, they should suffice. Another question that I am usually asked for the purpose of anthropology is whether answer writing is truly beneficial. Now, I will use my own example, and I scored a 216 in my first mains attempt, 230 in my second mains attempt, and 268 in my third mains attempt. Now, the reason as to why I can attribute this increase in score is possibly a lot of answer writing. This time I joined Level Up IAS test series under Mr. Karandeep Singh, and I finished each and every test out there. I had my friend Dr. Sachin VG with me, who I prepared most of this with, and I found that I could, because of the extensive answer writing practice that I had and some of the daily answers that I also practiced, I could easily finish the paper on the final day. Granted, of course, I did leave one question in each paper. I could still do a very good job of all the questions that I attempted, and since because it's a competitive exam, we need everything that we can possibly gain. We should ideally try to finish all the questions in the paper as well. So that is it about my anthropology strategy.